Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good to see you guys jumping on. Let me make sure all the sections are working. Yes, there you are. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is our bonus session. Those of you guys that were with us last night, we mentioned that we would have a bonus session at 12. We had to move it up a little bit earlier. So hopefully people won't be looking around for it at 12. We have to do it at 11:30. But good to see you guys all jumping on, and we'll give people a little bit of time to go ahead and jump on, and we will get into our discussion for today with the effervescent Favour Ikome. So her last name is going to be changing soon too. So I better enjoy saying it. But I see all the Facebook folks. Let me see what's happening with YouTube. Make sure that they are jumping on well. Let me check with our team to make sure that YouTube is good to go. Because, they're the ones that are usually like quick with it. So let's see. All right, I see it. I see it there. I think we're good. Good. We'll give everybody about a minute or so to catch on. I know Favour herself has had a busy morning, and I'm so grateful that she is able to jump back on. We're going to do a Q&A. We're going to talk about making destiny decisions, some of the most important decisions that we have ever had to make, and then answer your questions just around life, purpose, womanhood, marriage, all of that stuff that you may have concerning. So good to see you, Erin. Good to have you on. Rashika, good to have you on from Alabama. Good to see you, Monica. YouTube said we're here. There you are. I see you now. All right, all the way from New Jersey, CR. My people are so excited to enroll in DTA. Awesome. We'll look forward to seeing them in there. Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, because we pushed this up a little bit, I am going to go ahead and jump into what we're going to be discussing today. Like I said, we're going to be kind of just going back and forth. You guys are going to be part of a conversation with us in regards to making decisions that shift your life, decisions that can really propel you into the destiny that God has for you. Before I start talking, because I don't want to forget, those that were still on the fence about registering for DTA, you have 30 minutes if you want to be included in the free replay bonus. So the free replay bonus is available for about 30 more minutes. Maybe I'll remember at 11:55 to remind you guys to run in there if you're still on the fence. But we are excited to have Favour with us. And so without further ado, let me bring her on to the screen here. Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, Dr. Faith. Hi, everyone. Guys,
Doing
I know my
good. We
score
can't hear
is
you.
shine.
You got. I don't know if it's you need to unmute.
Can you hear me now? I got it off. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can't hear you yet.
Okay. Let me do
May
this.
have to take out the earbuds. I registered
Yeah.
last night. I'm so excited. Excellent. Blessings from the Netherlands. Oh, let's see, Rotterdam. Is that how you say that? Rotterdam. Good vibes. Good to have you on. Favour, are you there? Let's see. When you're ready, just say
Yes.
I'm
Can you
ready, and
hear
I'll
me
let you
now?
know if I can hear you. No, not yet. Not yet. Nicole said,
Okay.
"Oh, you know what? It's me. It's me. I'm the problem." Say it again. Hi, Favour.
It's me. I'm the problem. Can you
Okay,
hear
I'm
me?
the problem. You know why? I didn't want you to say that. I was saying that I was the problem. I had my computer on mute. Everybody's like, I can hear you. I can hear you. So it's not you. I am the problem because I have been talking nonstop. Literally since last week. We had our Supernatural Kids Conference. Then we had this Identity and Purpose Summit. I just got off mentoring one of our groups. So anyway, we are here and we are ready to go. Thank you all for being like Dr. Faith. We can hear her just fine. This is good. We are ready to go. Awesome. So I talked to Favour and I said, you know what? I just want us to talk a little bit about some of the big destiny decisions we've had to make in our life, what that meant for our life, how we made those decisions. So I'll let her just kind of start with that, and she can just kind of share a little bit personally. I'll chime in with some of mine at the end, and then we'll go from there.
So one of my biggest decisions that I made that I have made so far, and I feel like it's very connected to every other decision that I'm making now, or the people that I'm connected to, the resources I'm getting, the access that God is giving me, was coming to the US at the age of 19, but not just coming to the US, clarifying why I wanted to be an international student. Because
Mhm.
oftentimes that's a platform or an opportunity we used to just be like, oh, I'm going to the United States to look for greener pastures. And for those of you who are not immigrants, you can see other aspects of your life where you're making decisions because you feel like the grass is greener on the other side, or somebody else has
Mhm.
it better than you do. I remember sitting on the plane at the age of 19, and an older gentleman was sitting next to me, and he said, why are you going to the US? I said, to study. And he said, but there's schools in Cameroon. Do you believe that America has better education than Cameroon? I said, you know what? The honest truth is, I don't feel like it's just about the degree. I believe that there's something about America that the rest of the world value. What would it
Mhm.
look like if we bring that value to the of Africa? What, because not everybody will have the same opportunity, but what would it look like if I brought America to Cameroon? And then at 19, it looked really stupid. But Dr. Faye, I've been doing that for 6 years. I've literally been bringing America to Cameroon. And
Yeah.
now coming to the United States, unlike other international students who didn't have support, God blessed me with an amazing family, not related to me by blood, that owned a law firm. They had everything set up. And my passion was, I was so passionate about doing law, I guess because I lost my mom and I found out she was killed. And it's
Mhm.
just like, we need to get justice. We need to get justice. So I thought law was the thing for me. And so when I came into this family, my very first thing was, I want to become a lawyer. And they were like, great, we have a law firm. Like, it's almost like I had an inheritance,
Yeah.
because they said, we will send you to law school, make sure everything is paid for. We will get you what you need to, I mean, to be situated, like your life was set up if that's the path you want to go to. And then I found out not long from that agreement that that was not the will of God for my life. And so
Mm.
I was caught up between destiny, security,
Yeah.
because that's what people get confused, where it's almost like you have the security but it's not a destiny moment, and then you have this destiny that there is security in it, but because it's not obvious, right, you want to go in the direction that is obvious. Now as a young person, like I was 21 at the time, I'm having to decide, should I walk away from all of this? I mean, there is a house, I will never have to pay bills, they were going to get me a Range Rover, I mean, all of the things that I wanted to be comfortable, and not necessarily, not that I wasn't going to work hard, but it wasn't going to come as a result of the work. It was just a favor that I really needed to decide that this is a good thing, this is not a God thing. I feel like the
Mhm.
biggest decision for me was choosing what is God, not
Yeah.
what was good,
Yeah.
because everything God is always good, but everything good isn't always God.
Mhm.
And that decision to walk away from that inheritance, the law school, the money, the house, the law firm, and all of these things had brought me into a place where I have access to so much.
Yeah.
Because I would have had all of that, but there would have been no Dr. Fit, right? I wouldn't have met you. I wouldn't have met my soon to be husband, because that's what I said. We met in New York City. So it was
Yes.
choosing to go where God was leading me, even at the expense of people not being in on the same page with me.
Yeah. Yeah. So destiny decision oftentimes has to do between what is good and what is God. For you was, do I keep going this track of law school, or do I go into, what was it? Was it ministry? Like what was the other decision that you felt like God is calling me fully into nonprofit work? Was that it
So
for you?
the other decision was being in a space. I knew that I wanted to impact people's lives in a way that was influential, right? Because law gives you that opportunity to
Yeah.
legislate certain things about your life and other people's lives. But what I didn't understand was it didn't have to be in a traditional space,
Yeah.
because I realized very quickly, being the lawyer's assistant, that I hated sitting behind a computer screen all day.
Yeah.
I was a miserable person. So I said, what I had to do is I had to go for the people. The people didn't have to come to me, or
Yeah.
even if they came to me, is because I was in a place where I was accessible, not necessarily a location that I could not move out of. So it was a decision to ministry, but not like the pulpit
Yeah.
ministry. Not like I
Yeah.
had to go preach the gospel and not anything else with my life, but being able to influence people in a way that didn't necessarily look like going to a physical courtroom. So
Yeah.
that looked like speaking, because I knew immediately that God wanted me to become a speaker. And
Yeah.
believe it or not, Dr. Faith, I'll never, ever, even in class, answer questions. I was so
Yep.
scared because my mother would put me under the bed when
Yeah.
strangers come, because I was like always told
Talk, talk, talk.
your shoes were wrong. I was like, why would you wear a red shoe and a white
Yeah.
dress? Oh my gosh, my mom was a midwife. So when people came and they were pregnant, you came every year. I was like, you're getting pregnant again. You're having. So my mom was just like, you put me in trouble. Right. So
Yappa, yappa, yappa.
I was like, keep, yeah. Oh, we have a guest coming. Take her to the room before she says something she's not supposed to say. So that took away my confidence and my ability to think that I had anything of value to say and contribute to people's lives. But when God told me law wasn't the route, and maybe at the time, He said, I wanted you to become a world-class speaker.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I'm doing. And I'm
Mhm.
doing it still benefiting from things that I wanted to protect at the time that seemed like security, but wouldn't have guaranteed me destiny.
Yeah. Woo! It seemed like security, but it wouldn't guarantee you destiny. So between God and good, there's also security versus destiny. The interesting thing is that God told my husband and I the same thing when it was time to launch Legacy. And you were in my life around that time. I think we had just met around that time, but we, at that point, the business was doing well. I had an itinerant traveling ministry, and our spiritual children were like, plant a church, we will come. And we were also part of a church that wanted to bring us on staff. It was a big mega church here. It would be easy. We would learn everything, and we were like, God, maybe this is not the right timing. We have the security here, right? We have the training. We have the legacy of people who've been in ministry for years. This looks really, really good. And God told us exactly that. Just because it's good doesn't mean it's God. And really, good and God is the little thin line between deception and the real thing, because deception has a lot of
Mhm.
truth and a little bit of a lie, right? And so when there is a decision, usually destiny decisions are not like easy decision, and they will look really, 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 really good. But if you look at the detail of it, like for us, when we would think about, let's just go on staff, like we felt really good about that. But when we thought about not planting the church, we felt really bad about it. Like our heart was broken. We knew that we were being disobedient. And so would you say for you, when there is a decision that needs to be made, when you're being disobedient, like when you're kind of going in a way that the Lord is not necessarily calling you?
Yeah, so I love what you said about there's a big truth but a little deception. The deception is like yeast, right? You have this big bowl of flour, but then you only have to put like a teaspoon of yeast. But guess what? It is a teaspoon that makes the difference. It's not even the flour that has a huge quantity. And
Yeah.
that's what deception does. Like you get into it and realize it contaminates the whole destiny. For me, it was the people in my life. I mean, it's almost like you're loyal to these people. They help you come to the United States.
Yeah.
Like, how dare you say no? You never have to walk a day in your life. And I remember the people, one of them had a dream, and he said that I saw you in a pit. And people like you guys, listen, you have to be super careful. And no, Dr. Faye, you talk about this all the time about like really overcoming fear of man,
Yeah.
rejection. And now people are almost receiving it broken record. Okay, yeah, that spoke to me, but you really have to pay attention to it,
Yeah.
because this is where you negotiate your destiny with God, not with man.
Yeah.
Right?
Ooh.
Abraham negotiated of Lot with God. It was not about the person. It was not about Sodom and Gomorrah. It was about the destiny that God had for Lot and for Abraham's bloodline. And we constantly are in a space where we're negotiating our destiny with people, right? Somebody said this, that your destiny is not a conference call. You may do it collectively with the help of people, but at the time God is speaking to you, He's not speaking to anybody else about that thing. And for me, it was the people I knew. I mean, I was, all sorts of names, all sorts of things were said, but I had to be like, God, only you,
Yeah.
only you will
Yeah.
come through. And so the thing was, my heart was broken, saying yes to what people wanted me to do and saying no to the Lord. And I had to define, what is the thing that makes me feel like it's okay for me to
Yeah.
disobey God and obey man? Is it because I can see them in front of me? Is it because of what they're going to say about me? And so I had to make that decision of going, do it at the expense of not being liked anymore, at
Wow.
the expense of being say you're ungrateful. At this point, when people say I'm ungrateful. If I'm grateful to God and I'm not grateful to you, it's okay. Because oftentimes it's just your perception. It's not
Yeah.
my reality, right? My
Yeah.
reality is a grateful person. I walk in honor, walk in integrity. But
Yeah.
if my loyalty to God is fractured relationship with you and you want to project that on me, it's okay. I
Yeah.
think that people have to be super, super careful with putting their destiny on the table with people and not the one who has the ability to give you all things. And now all the people that were against me are for me.
Yeah.
I'm getting married. I have 2 wedding dresses, right? Because the person who told me then that I was making the right decision is saying that your life is so consistent that now I believe 11 years ago you really had God. Because why? Only a fool is going to argue with results. Every destiny decision has results that nobody can contend with.
Come on. Only a fool will argue with results. And our lives are so parallel in that when it was time for me to launch out into ministry, I had gone and did my doctorate. Everybody was becoming a clinical psychologist. They were going into research, all of this stuff. And it looked so wise and it looked like the right direction. And then God says, well, I've called you to work for me. And I'm like, what does that even mean? And so stepping out and saying, hey, I am going to form something that has never been seen. And both of us are African. So even with this like African non-traditional, you mean you're a doctor, but you're not working as a doctor. Like it just didn't make sense, right? But I stepped out on what God was saying versus, I mean, my poor husband, I married into a Nigerian community and they're like, she's a doctor, but she's not working, all these things. But now, right, like what you said, you cannot argue with evidence. You cannot argue with proof. We're in such a possession that we can help the very people that were against us. The very people that were yappa, yappa, yappa are now to come and we're able to give them resources and help them. And so destiny decisions, you don't always see the fruit of them until 10, 15 years down the road. Wouldn't you say?
The
Yeah.
security is in the decision, not outside it. Like that's the in between where people are like, let me see how it's gonna play out first before I step into it. Let me see how God has it. Because, like we said the last time, God is not figuring it out. We are.
Yeah.
Right? We've employed ourselves to figure it out. God is not. God
Yep.
is not figuring it out. And I love something you said just brought me a thought about the issue some of us have is that we're seeking to be better than the other person. Like what you said, there were so many people doing clinical psychologies and all of these different things, and God was rerouting you. But we're always thinking that, oh, I have to be better than Favor. I have to be a better coach. No, what you have to invest in is unique. There's something you're
Come
bringing
on.
to the table that nobody bring it, because rip all the hair off your head, somebody is better than you.
Yep.
I don't care how good you are. Somebody is better than you and you're better than someone. And so it takes off the burden of deciding whatever God has given you to do, you're going to do it with excellence like Daniel, but also you're going to focus on how to be unique, not to be better than all the other coaches in the industry, because there's always going to be somebody that somebody else prefers over you.
Yeah.
And you don't decide otherwise just because of that.
Yeah. You said something earlier about loyalty. What do you think in terms of false loyalty and how it sometimes prevents us into making the decisions that impact our destiny? Have you ever struggled with, and you talked about a little bit, being loyal, but what do you think is the danger in being so loyal to man that it can impact our destiny?
You live a life that is miserable, not miracles.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally, loyal to be miserable over choosing to live a life that is marked by miracles,
Yeah.
because you're going to do the thing that the people want you to do. You're going to get whatever they are offering you, and guess what? They're giving you only what they think you deserve to that extent, right?
Yeah.
So you've robbed yourself of the opportunity of living a life of endless possibilities. What you do is you rob yourself of possibilities because of something that is immediate, and
Yeah.
something that even the people who are providing you opportunities don't have an account for tomorrow, right? The
Come on.
law firm can collapse. Who said it was going to last? Right. And the same law firm, now I'm having to get hired as a consultant to consult for them after my wedding and
Come
be
on.
able to help them build structure. Had I just do what they wanted me to do, I would not be the person that they will bring back to bring order, because I would have been in the chaos too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the danger is you lifestyle that is always in crisis and always in fixing mode and not have stability. It will seem stable in the moment, but in the long run, you will be chaos.
Yeah. So good. We're going to keep going, but I want to take this minute because we have 10 minutes left before it's 12. And I talked with Favor and we came into an agreement. She did this last year for us and she's going to do it again this year. What we want to do, and she can talk to you guys about the power of mentorship, about the power of being around the right people. I mean, she's a spiritual daughter, so she's had the joy of, getting to sit right under. We've had the privilege of, helping as they prepare for their wedding and all of that stuff. But quickly, Favor, just share a little bit about the power of mentorship, coaching, and then I'm going to share with them the opportunity that you guys can have to go deeper, even with Favor.
So here's what I believe about mentorship. Mentorship is a door, mentorship is a ladder, right? So there are people who always say you're where you are because you don't know nobody. And then somebody presents you an opportunity to be that somebody you're looking for, and you're so concerned about the currency, right? One of the things I understood about God and the people he brings into our lives, the access he gives us, the resources, is that the weightiest currency a person can have is the glory of God. And oftentimes, you gain access to that through doors and through ladders, and those ladders are people. We always say that I'm going to wait on the Lord, I'm believing on the Lord, but the gift of God comes to men through men.
Come on.
It comes to you through, and then somebody else had 10 step. It's a 10-step process that you, Dr. Faith, had to go through. And guess what? When you mentor somebody, that you shut it down, you take away 7 steps, and they only have to do 3 steps.
Yeah.
And the amount of time that it took you to get, people don't have to get through that. Like I tell all of the kids that we mentor in Cameroon, I was like, if any of you come to the US, you don't have to go gray like I almost went gray, because you have a ladder to stand on.
Yeah.
You have a door to walk through. It's not a matter of waiting for somebody to open the door. I've already have the door wide open for you. But the issue is always thinking of, what is it going to cost me? Why would you want something that doesn't cost you anything?
Come on. Come on. So good. So good. So we are inviting you guys, for those that have not registered for DTA yet, make this investment. It's going to be life changing. And what we're going to do is have a life coaching class specifically with Favor. So starting at 12 all the way up until 12 tomorrow, you have 24 hours. For the people who register within those 24 hours, you get to be put in the special coaching group with Favor. Now, if you've already registered, right? If you registered earlier, you still get to be put in the coaching group, because we're not going to punish you for being early, but we want to give an incentive to those who are still dilly-dallying, they're still going back and forth. We're going to do a 1-hour coaching session. It's within a group context. Favor is going to be there, and she's going to really work you guys through life. She's a brilliant life coach. I can say I had a little bit of help in training her. She was certified in our program, but she's just brilliant, period. I mean, this girl, 4.0, brilliant writer. She's an apostolic leader, businesswoman, and you will want to sit underneath her. And so starting at 12 today until 12 tomorrow, we have added that bonus. It's only available until 12 tomorrow. If you miss it, you're not going to get to be in that special coaching group. Now, what I want to do right now is take some questions from you guys, because she and I could talk forever, but we want to give you guys a couple of minutes to ask questions. You can join. The bit.ly link is right there in the on the screen. It's also in the descriptions below. If you join in the next 7 minutes, you'll get all the replays from the summit, and you will also qualify for this life coaching group. If you wait till after 12, you will just get the life coaching group session. So Leslie said, just enrolled. Excellent. Do it now. You won't regret it. Someone says, what about the ones of us that are already in DTA members? Now, you guys know you already get this stuff. I'm going to give y'all a whooping when I get back, though, when we have our session, because this is not about y'all right now. But if you're already a member, you always get the bonuses anyway. All right. 24 hours. That's it. Someone said, when is the wedding? We will say none of your business. No, I'm just kidding, Rose. I know, Rose, but you'll see the pictures when the pictures come out, right?
You will see the photos. But I want to tell you guys that because we have so many prophetic words, especially that have been released over this year, so many prophetic words that have been released over the month, over the summer. And oftentimes when God gives you a prophetic word, it's an invitation, right? It's an RSVP. And for some of you, your RSVP is being part of a platform where you're being cultivated and prepared to live that life. I always say that sometimes your best life is not necessarily something big you went and did. It's just a decision, right? That brings deliverance, that brings healing, healing that launches you into purpose. And also not just getting what you need, but getting it from the right source. Because again, we're also so big on like getting stuff, but it's like, what is the source of what you're getting? What is the force that is even backing that person? A lot of chaos we're seeing is really being connected to the wrong people,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, being connected to the wrong people, being connected to the right people is also very, very huge. Someone said my coupon code failed, still invalid. Well, it's because it was only available for a certain amount of time. So if you missed it, you missed it. Those are the people who are on the wait list. You can email support@askdrfaith.com. Someone says, how do I get on the wait list for next year? But why would you foreclose? You still have 4 days. Why would you foreclose on the opportunity to get in here now and then you're waiting for next year? Let's talk about timing a little bit, Favor. What are some of your thoughts about just destiny timing and moving within windows of opportunity? Have you ever had to go through that, and what has that been like?
Yeah, and I mentioned this right when I talked about like
Yeah.
results, time, and impact. I mean, time was the first, because we always think that I have time to make it, but the reality is the impact and the result is tied to the time. If you do it at the wrong time, you're gonna get something, but you're not gonna get the ultimate. And I strongly believe that I am a very result-driven person, and I will hate to know that had I done it yesterday, I would have get 1,000%. But because I didn't let mercy covered me, but I didn't get everything that I was supposed to get out of it. And I think that's so important. Like I remember last year I was sitting in a meeting and I just felt like it was a destiny moment to share with someone about a vision that we're having for Cameroon. We've been sponsoring girls, and I feel like that is no longer sustainable because I want to create an environment that these girls live in and their lives can be impacted in a way that they get to influence their community. And I just shared it with this person, like, oh, next year, one of my goals is to start building a city within a city. And that's what I said. I'll build a city within a city. I don't know how we're going to do it. And this person walked away from that meeting, followed up with me. And one day, recently, actually, we got a $50,000 grant, right? Had
Come on.
I said that, oh, let me get into 2021 and figure out how things are gonna work. I don't even have a land. And I told him, I was like, I don't have a land, but Jehovah Jireh owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. The Bible says he owns the world and it is my inheritance. It means there is a land for me. And
Yeah.
in that moment, it's like we have more money. You let this be the beginning of, or we feel as I remember him saying, we feel a sense of urgency to give you this. And I'm sitting and looking at myself, I'm like, who would have told me that the person doesn't know what you're gonna do? They don't even know if you're gonna do it, and they
Yeah.
give you the money because of the
50,000.
decision you made in the moment, not necessarily because everything was together, but because you believe. And so, why would you wait if you can do it now? Why not figure out, okay, how can I get a payment plan? Is there a plan beyond a plan? Because a person who is desperate, we're desperate for the wrong things, right? When you're desperate to fulfill your destiny and you understand the power of timing and how result is tied to time, that you don't have to be in a place next year that you don't have to be in because you decide today, why would you rob yourself of that?
Yeah, yeah. We have to realize that we're not just natural beings. I think a lot of times when we start talking about money or commitment, all we begin to see is our flesh and our capability. But as believers, we are spiritual beings, and you have all of heaven conspiring for you to reach your destiny. And what that means is that there is pieces and aspects of heaven that is waiting for your yes, for the provisions to be provided. Favor just had to speak for the money to come. The money had always been there for this land. But if she had been like, I'm not going to say this right now. I don't have the whole blueprint. I don't know how it's going to go. She may have missed out on that $50,000 that was there. I mean, we can give you testimonies like this forever. It's the same thing with our church. We had done all the due diligence. Someone else had put in an offer, and they were like, you know what? For the land, we have land that we bought. They were like, someone else put in an offer. We could have said, well, someone else put in an offer. We're just going to look for other land. But we knew that God had given us that. These are the destiny decisions. And sometimes destiny decisions means, giving up, getting your hair done every single month so you can afford this. It means giving up, drinking coffee every single week. It means moving to a new city. Destiny decisions always require sacrifice, but they will always have a higher return. Someone says, did you ever have a wait and seek God season where you had to wait and seek God, and how did it look like?
Hello?
Did you see? Yep. Did you see that question? Did I
Oh,
lose you?
did I go off? I did have a wait and see God season, but it was actively doing. So when I found out I needed to start my nonprofit, and I can't wait to share this when we have the coaching moment, because I'm going to talk about the power of building to last, not just building because everyone is building, but really building something that would last and outlive you. I knew that there was process, because the wait and see God season is understanding the power of process and how
Mhm.
that plays into your own reality. So I knew that the whole nonprofit was not just going to become boom at the same time. There were aspects of it that I had to wait on God, but that meant my indication to God that I was serious was doing the thing that I could do right now. What did I have? Who did I have? What did I need? How could I get it? And working on that information was what waiting on God looked like for me. It didn't be like, oh, wait until. But when I started, Dr. Faith, you know, when I started my
Yep.
nonprofit, I was living in New York City, guys, making $1,200 a month,
A month.
having a family in Africa that was looking up to me, paying tuition.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, I would have said, let me just wait on God to increase my salary. I
Yep.
wasn't even able to get that money up till after 5 years.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, wait on God looks like you doing what is in front of you.
Yeah. And I remember you even praying for the money
I
to
can't hear you.
sign up for the, oh, you can't hear me. You're having a hard time hearing me. Can everybody hear me else hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear. Did we lose? Are you guys there? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Go ahead and
Ask
favor.
them if they can hear you. I cannot hear you.
Oh my gosh. I can hear you, but you can't hear me. This is strange. Okay. Okay. So they can hear me.
Oh, they hear you.
Yeah, yep, they can hear me.
Let me
So go
try
ahead
this.
and work things around. But one of the things that I was going to say is that I remember when Favor wanted to take our certification and coaching class, and because she was getting paid $1,200 a month, that was like half of her whatever she was getting paid. But she did not say, "Well, you're my spiritual mother, so why isn't this free? Like you're my spiritual mother, can you give me a discount?" She honored what I carried so much that she said, like, God, this is something that I want to do. And guess what the Lord did? He provided for her to be able to do that. And so I believe, Apostle last night talked about desire and the hunger and how it leads to revelation. There has to be a level of hunger. It has to be a level of desire always. And then yesterday we talked about process at 12 o'clock. If you missed that session, I taught it, but I was getting revelation while I taught it. Please watch it. Please, what it means to be able to wait, to be able to process with God so that the destiny of God can show up in your life. Let's see if she's back. Can you hear us now? Is it better?
Hmm?
All right, good. You are good. All right, let's get just a couple more questions and then we'll be done because we do have this opportunity for an hour-long group coaching session for those that register for DTA in the next 24 hours and all those who are already registered and my old students, all of you guys will be able to get that opportunity. So let me see here if I can find another question. Please put hashtag Q at the beginning of your question so I can know it. What about your program in November 2021? Is that still taking place? So I'm not sure what you mean by that. I have a conference, which we have every single year in November, that always takes place the second week in November. Somebody asked about prayer. We have a prayer ministry that's connected to our church that leads prayer every single Thursday. You can join that group. Some of our DTA students are part of it. Some of them are not. And then in September, we have our 21-day prayer fast, which a lot of y'all join because you want to get married and all. But that goes on for 21 days. We pray for singles, we pray for married people, we pray for everything, businesses, all of that. And that will be coming up soon. All right, let's see a question here that we can give Favor because I know she has to get on the road. For DTA, if you start off monthly membership, can you transfer to annual? Yes, you can do that. I'm a recent grad. I don't have the money to do the annual right now, but would love to be able to transfer. Yes, you could do that. I enrolled this morning. Great. Will DTA lead to the mentor training classes? Interested in that training plus dream classes? Yes. So what happens is you can take any classes you want to take at any point. In DTA, the good thing is that you always get a coupon code for our big classes. Does it lead? Our students get to choose whether they just want to do DTA or take any of the other products that we offer. All right. What about not being able to pay for it? No source of income coming in. That's something that you need to pray about. Favor, do you want to talk about that? What it means to literally have no source of income coming in?
Anybody who can create something can create a source of income, right? Because you can begin to think about, God, I really want to do this. So there are three ways I've done this. Lord, this is something I really want to do based on this promise that you have made. Paul said you wage a good warfare. And sometimes waging war is not like rabba shatta, it's actually doing something actively, intentionally, and being aggressive about stepping into what God has said. So you can go to God and pray about that and say, this is something that I really want to do. This is the budget God is able to provide. Because again, we're talking about decisions require faith.
Yeah.
You cannot make a decision that is a God decision that is tied to the destiny God has for you outside of faith. It doesn't happen. So
Yep.
this is, you get to start deciding to walk in faith because you know what you're called to.
Yep.
And the thing is, I think about people in my life who love me. I always tell people, if you love me, show it. I
Yeah.
don't want this I love you talk. When we would see on social media, be like, oh, I really love you, and then when I'm in trouble, you're the last person that I hear from. No, I don't work like that. And that's not to say relationships are only supposed to meant for what they offer you, but I'm saying that you shouldn't have 200 contacts in your phone if each person cannot give you $100 when it has to do with something that will begin to give back over time. So I would say go to the people. How much is it? Well, I don't know how much is it, Dr. Faith, this year.
It's just $45 a month.
Exactly. So you have, for the next 1 year, there are people in your life who can give you $45 a month. And I promise you, if you don't have change your friend circle, like literally, relationally relocate. If you don't have people who can sacrifice and put something into your life. And another thing is, what can you create? If there's something you can do really well. I remember like growing up, we didn't have a lot of money. I had to pay transportation to go to school, and there's no Uber in Africa. So you have to take a taxi, you sit in there, and they charge you as far as. I used to make pancakes and sell.
Yeah.
And these are the parts of me that people don't know, because now if you tell me that, I probably wouldn't.
Look, Soso's mom, my husband's mom, same thing, would sell donuts on the side of the street so
Mhm.
she could pay for Soso to go to school. My mom sold Mary Kay while she was working full time. Like there is God, you have the image of God in you, right? And beyond saying, what am I going to sell? Let's start with, what do I have in excess? And I'm not belittling anybody. And y'all, I've been poor. Like I know what it means to go without food. I know what it means for your gas to run out on the side of the street. I'm not just talking. I mean, I was born in one of the poorest nations in the world. Malawi is one of the poorest nations. So I totally understand. But in order to break poverty, right, oftentimes there have to be extremes or things that we have to do. And we teach a whole module in detail on how to break the poverty spirit. So we're not just saying, just give us your money. We're giving you tools to actually change the trajectory of your life if that is an area. But I know people just stopped certain memberships. They gave up Netflix. They gave up Pure Flicks. They gave up, getting their, permanent eyebrows drawn on, whatever it is, and figure out what you can do. And if you cannot, it's okay. This might not be the right season for you. And guess what? I may not be the right coach or mentor. Our guest speakers may not be the right people for you in this season. And that is okay as well.
Yeah, I
We'll
think
go ahead, Favor.
I think it's important to know, like all of what you just said is so great.
Yeah.
If this is not the right place for you, it's fine. It's good for you to know. But when you start worrying about the lack, when you haven't even
Right.
done assessment, you've not done an evaluation if this is something you need. Is this a community that I need to be a part of? Is this how I can challenge? Because you have to, with poverty, there's always some form of unbelief tied to it that needs to be challenged. And sometimes it's having that community around you that helps you. But before you worry about what you don't have, this is something that you're given access to. I find out first, do I need it? Right?
Yep. Good. Someone said they're quitting their job in
And
30
you don't
minutes.
say you don't need it.
Go ahead.
Oh my gosh.
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't say you don't need it simply because you address the lack first.
Mm-hmm.
Decision attracts resources.
Woo. Decisions attract resources. That is amazing. Amazing. So this lady says she's quitting her job in 30 minutes, and I believe it's a destiny move. This is the last few days in the training. Well, I pray that you've been praying about quitting and not just praying, but preparing, right? And planning as well. So anytime the Lord has us take a major faith step, obviously it's a faith step, but I pray that you have some strategy in place. When I launched my business, it was like sink or swim or swim. There was no option to sink. So I had strategies in place to make sure that I swam. And I just declare that that will be the same for you in the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus. Favor, I'll have you on for just a couple more minutes. I know that the internet or something is going back and forth. So I won't hold you too much longer. Let me see if there's a specific question that was directed to you that I can ask, and we'll let you go. How do I launch if I don't know what I'm really supposed to launch? Okay, the Lord told me to launch recently, and I heard the preacher yesterday say it, and now Favor is saying it. How do I launch if I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to launch?
I don't think God would tell you to go launch something without telling you what to launch.
Yeah.
That is so difficult.
Yeah.
Right? He cannot just say, oh, travel, and don't tell you where to go to. I
Yeah.
mean, even with Abraham, he said, I want you to go this direction, but I'm going to show you the specific place. So at least there should be some clue. If you are feeling, it's a different thing, because there are oftentimes when we're saying we're feeling things and we say it's God,
Yeah.
right? This is the platform where you get to identify hearing the voice of God when
Yeah.
it's you desiring something. And that doesn't mean God wouldn't bless a desire that you have. If you're a creative, innovative individual and you're able to create things and you're able to build and launch things, maybe you should. But I wouldn't think that, I honestly would not have, at least I don't have an
Yeah.
experience of God telling me to go do something and not telling me what is it that he wants me to do.
Yeah.
So if you're hearing confirmation, then you need to, you probably have a what. Maybe you don't just believe that it is the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes God is speaking, but like she said, sometimes you need counsel. We talked about having wise counsel, having people you can bounce those things off. But not everybody is always in a launch season. Every season is not a launch season. Some seasons are preparation season. Some seasons are let me build up my faith season. You know, have you ever seen those people with airplanes that go in the air? They've got to run and then they got to build it up. So if you're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be launching, then the question is not what should I launch? The question is what are you doing in this season? And how do you want me to prepare for the next season? All right. Favor, any final last things? I'll have a couple announcements for you guys and answer a couple more questions, but I want to give her the grace to go because I know she has to get on the road.
I would say make the decision. I would say make up your mind or make up your mind. Honestly, because you've heard from so many speakers and we need to get past becoming information junkies. The reality is that getting into DTA isn't for you to collect information, it's for you to understand how to apply what you've acquired.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us, the weight that we have isn't necessarily lack of information, it's too much information.
Yeah.
The question is, how do I start using this in a way that serves me and serve the people that God has called me to? So I would say make up your mind, or make up your mind, get off the fence, get off, just $25, $45 as currency God is going to provide. And I really pray and stand in agreement with anybody that's believing God. I share with you guys the testimony of me just thinking, okay, God, you said we should buy tickets and fly everybody to Cameroon. You're going to provide, because we still have students who want to give scholarship to, and boom, somebody is flying everybody business class. And I'm like, God, we're not going lower, never economy again.
Not going lower. Not going lower.
We're not
Look,
going lower. So I feel like that is the kind of aggressive faith we need to have in this season. Why? Because the things that God is calling us into requires that level of faith where you look crazy, but you have a conviction that will eventually yield results.
you know, I got to say this before you go. My son, Josiah, we went on a trip to Africa and we get in the plane and we go to the comfort side. We're turning, to go sit in the comfort side. God, I thank you for comfort, right? And my son sees the other side and he says, what's that? And I said, well, that's first class. And he said, first class, why are we not going into first class? I said, son, we're not there yet. Like, we cannot afford 4 tickets for people to fly first class. He said, okay, but next time I want to fly first class. So we get home from the trip from Africa, and my son is asking me about bread, about the peanut butter, about jelly. I'm like, and this is let's see, he's 8 now. This is a 6-year old. I'm like, son, what is it? Why are you asking about all this? He said, I'm going to start a peanut butter and jelly stand because I want to raise enough money so I can fly first class. Even a 6-year-old knew
Yeah.
that he had the creativity and then the ingenuity to be able to get what he needs to get. He got a couple more PBJs to sell, but he gonna get there one day, right? But
Environment, that's the same thing we're talking about. Like DTA is
mm,
not just another program, it's environment. There are things that you cannot be in certain places and not conceive certain things, right?
ooh,
There are people who are barren because of the environment, and then you step
ooh,
into a place and it's almost like you're too fertile for your own good. Like things, things just come out of you, ideas just come out of you, resources are running after you, things that people would have to apply for. Your name is flying in the air. It's environment, because you didn't have to teach Josiah that, but you've created an atmosphere that is pregnant, and anybody in that atmosphere will conceive.
yep.
Whether you're a male or female kid or an adult, whoever you are in that environment, it's impossible for you not to produce in that capacity.
That's so good. Look, we're having that problem at church because everybody's an entrepreneur now. Everybody's starting something. Everybody's making money, but it's what's on our lives. And this is so important about who you submit yourself to, whether it's in church, whether it's in mentoring. You want to say, God, where do I want to be? Right? And how do I get there? Because what you submit under is a lot of what you're going to see. But that's so good. Some of you are barren because you're not in the right environment. If you're not barren because you're barren because you're not in the right environment. These are people, and Favor, anytime you got to go, just wave. These are people. I have an uncle who will testify to this. He was with someone for 25 years, married, not with, and they weren't able to conceive. And the woman was wicked, her heart, all these different things were going on. It was horrible marriage. She one day picked up and left. He wasn't going to leave her because he was a righteous man. He marries the woman that God gave him, and guess what? Triplets, like in no time. The issue wasn't that he was a man that couldn't conceive. It wasn't the right environment, and it wasn't the right partnership. And many of our students in DTA will tell you the kind of things that they have birthed and what has come out of their lives, their families, their businesses, their ministries, because they're right in the right environment. That's tremendous. Thank you for that nugget. Anything else before you go? Anything else you're sensing or you want to share before you go?
I know I would definitely say that people take advantage of this. It's not it's we always want to be cynical about everything. It's another marketing scheme, is another program. Okay, somebody said just be a believer, die, and it's better you die and go find out heaven doesn't exist, right? That it was all a story, than to not believe and then you die and realize there's really heaven and there's hell and you're on your way to hell. Why don't you make the investment? You always have to tell yourself, I have nothing to lose. People say you win some and lose some. You win some and learn some,
Yeah.
right? You may not
Woo.
you will learn something. You will learn something that will change your life tremendously. And we're so selfish because we're also thinking that these decisions are about us. Think of how different some people's lives would be if you decide to be in the right place, right? And we need to get over yourself is my final thing.
Yeah,
Get over.
so good. We love having you. We cannot wait to have you in the bonus class, and look for out what once she gets married and comes back from her trips, she's going to have some products and some resources as well. So make sure that you follow her. I'm going to answer the final questions here and then dismiss. Someone said she has a lot of nuggets. It's because she has a friend. She's a friend of God. And one of the things that we want to help you develop is learn how to walk with God. Revelation is really simple when you're a friend with someone because they tell you their secrets. And so when you become a friend of God, when you deal with that identity stuff, the rejection stuff, the shame stuff, God can tell you stuff, and you can carry that same level of revelation from being in partnership with God. If you had a question and I missed it, please go ahead and repost it. I'm going to try to get these last ones and let you go. I think I saw someone said they're on Central Time and they missed the enrollment. I apologize, right? Everything we do over here at Ask Dr. Faith is on Eastern time. You may be able to email my team. I don't know if there's anything that they can work out, but everything closes at Eastern time. So at 12 o'clock today, the replays are no longer available, but you still have the opportunity to access the 1 hour coaching bonus that we will have with Favour, and she will get y'all all together, all together. All right. Let's see. This is so good. I was just on the fence about quitting my job, going to another. This is such confirmation. Yes, have a plan, have a strategy, and know the timing. This is one thing that I coach people on a lot, because us prophetic people and people who hear God, what happens is that we often feel like just because we heard God, we've got to do it right away. But God can give you, say, okay, you're going to do this in 6 months. You're going to do this in a year. I know it feels intense in the moment, but you want to go ahead and get counsel around that, so you do that in the right timing. Dr. Faith, where's your church at? Our church is in Cary, North Carolina. Our church is called Legacy Center Church, and I pastor alongside my husband. And we also have a Legacy online campus, which is called Legacy O. If you're interested in gaining more information about the main church or our online campus, you can email info@legacycenterchurch.org. There's a few minutes, but will I still receive? Yeah, email our support team, the one about the Central Time. What's the email to the admin team? support@askdrfaith.com. Investing in yourself through DTA is well worth it. Awesome. One of the speakers said, ask God for details and instructions. Yes, that was Pastor Gerard. Do you mean 12 midnight? No, 12 p.m., like 12 at noon. So it ended today at 12 at noon. If I cannot join DTA now, can we join much later in the year? We have one more enrollment. So we do 2 enrollments in a year. And it's going to come, it's not, we don't have any more this year. The next enrollment is going to be in 2022. And we do 2 a year. This one is 5 days. You can join for the next 5 days. And then the other one is only open for 2 days. It's a 48-hour or 78-hour enrollment. Let's see. The words of my pastor, MBA pause. Okay. Last year, God told me to write your book after going through a really dark valley. Okay. I also have been given the chapters. However, when I sit to write, my mind goes blank. Well, if God has given you the title, the chapters, start with each chapter, but going blank means it might not be the right season. You may also need to get in the right environment. So both Favour and I are authors and culture and coaches, obviously. So this is a question that you could definitely ask in the in our life in the coaching group if you join. However, for me, if I'm blank, I just don't write. I don't force it. I rely on the Holy Spirit on how I write. So God may have told you, but it's just not the right timing. I'm not in the States figuring out what time it is there. So tell me what country you're in and we can help you. But you could also Google it, right? Just Google what time is it in North Carolina or on the East Coast. For the Fivefold School, is there a discount for couples? Yes, you can email support@askdrfaith.com. When is the deadline to sign up? Monday at 12 noon Eastern time. All right. Awesome. Welcome. Someone said they just enrolled. Any other questions about destiny, decisions, anything that we learned this week that you may not have had a chance to ask questions about? I would love to answer. This was like the after party after the party. We wanted to give you guys a chance to answer the questions. Can you tell me about the CST? Is that the Central Time? I'm not sure what that is. DTA, for those of you guys who are new, is an ongoing monthly mentorship program by me. Every week you get pre-recorded videos that you watch at your own pace, and every week you get an hour coaching with me. You also get discounts to some of our courses. Every other month you get bonus speakers. You get a community. You get a family to hold you accountable. You get people that can pray with you and challenge you in your other mentees. Do you have the link for the School of the Prophets? I do. I'm just not marketing that right now. We don't like to market multiple things at once because it can get overwhelming and it can get confusing. So if you're interested in signing up for that, just email support@askdrfaith.com. Next week, we'll be back to marketing the School of the Prophets and the Fivefold School. But this week, we're focusing on DTA. I really want the bonus to watch the videos. Sorry, that we had it for the last 24 hours. You were able to sign up for that. Sign up for the Prophet School in August. That is in person, correct? Yes. I would encourage you to come in person. We get to pray for you. We get to lay hands, the whole nine. How to sign up for the fivefold. Okay. If someone could get me a link, one of my admins, they're going to keep asking until I put it. So please, if you can get me a link for that. How do you tell the difference between a good and a God opportunity? So we talked about this a little bit, but a good opportunity is usually going to be good for you, but not necessarily good for everybody, right? A God opportunity may be uncomfortable for you, but it's going to be good for the majority in the long run. A good opportunity is usually meeting about your provisions and what you need. And a God opportunity is generally looking for the benefit of not just you, but maybe your generations or even other people. And a God opportunity is oftentimes going to be scary, right? But it's going to thrust you into your destiny. And that's why you need to know what you are here for. You need to know why you were born, because when you're clear about that, then it's really easy to make decisions. We teach you guys all of this in our mentoring program the first 3 months. But I'll give you guys an example. My best friend is amazing administrator. She's been called to, govern different organizations and businesses. And she had always worked for the state. And she got this opportunity, and usually God opportunities are like crazy. They often feel like too good to be true. They often feel like this is so big, but she got this opportunity. And at the same time, she had an opportunity with the state where she lives. But the opportunity that she was given, literally the man looked at her, interviewed her, and said, I want you to run this company. I want you to run the whole company. I want you to do all the logistics. I want you to da 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 da. And she's like, I've never done this before. I don't know if I have the skills, all of that. Right. But when we looked at what was being asked of her, it was in align with her destiny. It was in align with what she was made to do, not just at a state level, but for nations. And so because we had clarity about where she was called to go, we understood that this was a stepping stone, and she jumped in it. And she is working that whole company. She has never ran this is a multi-million-dollar company. She's never done that. But one, it was supernatural. The man just looked at her and said, you should do it. Two, he had so much faith in her. And three, it aligned with her destiny. And that's why it's so important for you guys to know what God has called you to do, because when you know that, you will always make the right decision. You will know what to say no to. You know what to say yes to. Can men join DTA? Of course. Look at Daryl right underneath you. He has been in DTA with us for over 2.5 years. We have men, we have husbands and wives, we have, younger men, older men. Anybody can join DTA. We mentor and develop men and women. I know there's a lot of ladies on here, but we have male speakers that come in there. My husband teaches some of the electives later down the road. So we would love, and the men in there would love to have other men as well. All right. Let's see. Any other questions? You will find out who you are and whose you are. Someone is just sharing. DTA, let's see, teaching about identity and so much more to include purpose. Okay, these are just the students who are so amazing. What can you do when you sit to do what God has asked you to do, write a book and start a business, but get stuck? Migraine knocks you down for days or weeks. Well, you may want to deal with a migraine issue, but sometimes you may be having the migraine because God called you to do this. So you got to figure out, how is it possible for me to persevere when I'm not having migraines, right? And let me deal with the migraines first. The promise of God over your life doesn't go away because you got sick. It doesn't go away because you had a hard season. It's always there, but it's your job to pick it up and keep going. All right. So I don't want you to feel like, okay, God has forgotten about me because I'm sick. That's just not true. You got to pick up and keep going. All right, let's see. On what day and what time do the weekly meetings take place? They take place on Wednesdays. And once you register, you will get the times. And if you have to work or something, you can't be there, you're able to ask your questions prior. How do you prepare your heart to receive the word? To get the word deep in your heart. You prepare yourself to love Jesus, right? To know, it's like this. If I'm in love with my husband, I don't really have to prepare for a love letter for him. I don't have to prepare, for what he's going to say. I know that sometimes it's correction, or I know sometimes it might be hard, but I'm in love with him. And so part of getting revelation from the word is learning Holy Spirit and developing a deep walk with the Holy Spirit. How to know when it's time to leave a job that keeps you from discovering your purpose. Well, I've already done some YouTube videos on this, so I would encourage you to check them out. But what you want to look for is righteousness. Is this making me more like God? If I'm grumbling, complaining, angry all the time, no. Joy, is there a level of joy here? Because joy is a measure that the Holy Spirit is present in something. Joy is a measure that the Holy Spirit is present. Joy gives us energy. We look forward to going. If all those things are not there, then you need to start saying, one, what is my purpose and how do I get there? And can I get there while I'm still working? Because you don't want to just quit your job and because you're living out your purpose and you can't feed yourself. You can't take care of what you need to take care of. And so there are steps that you can take to ease out of that. All right. I have so many ideas that God gives me. Don't know which one I do first. Plus fear stopped me. So we talked about fear a lot during the summit. Hopefully you were part of that summit. We uprooted it. We broke down. But these are 4 simple things that I give people when they're trying to make a decision about business, about launching out. 1, do I have the experience and the education that I need for it? Experience or education, right? 2, do I feel an anointing, which is an ease or a grace from the Lord? 3, do I have the money for it? Because some things require money. And 4, do I have the time? If I have 3 of the 4, then I'll do it. If I don't, then it's not the right timing. All right. Bless you guys. That was such a good example given of how to approach prepping your heart to receive God's word. Thank you, Destiny. Bless y'all. Bless you. And yes, this will stay up in our private mentoring group. We'll keep it up on the YouTube because it's not part of the Identity and Purpose Summit. It's just a bonus that we decided to give you guys and help you answer your questions. Anything else? What is the difference between DTA and your coaching program? My coaching program is for people who want to be coaches. This is for leaders, artists, creatives who want to help other people. It is only 6 weeks. We certify you to start a business to coach other people. DTA is for people who want to grow in healing, in deliverance, in purpose, in their marriage, in their finances. It is me literally mentoring them for as long as they want to be mentored in the group context, and it goes on and on. And those students obviously get discounts to any of our other courses that are 6 weeks or 8 weeks or 4 weeks. All right. DTA enrollment is now open. Can enroll for DTA up to Monday. Yes, I joined. What's the next step after graduation? So after 1 year, you go into your electives. It's like here in the US, once you finish 11th grade, 12th grade is just like a breeze, right? You go into electives. And so we already have electives already mapped out for you for year number 2. We then take your suggestions for year number 3, year number 4. There'll be electives on all things from studying the Bible to understanding the healing gift, to managing your money, to understanding leadership. It is a smorgasbord of courses that you take with your cohort after year 1. You just keep going. All right. Let's see. Any recommendations for church in Connecticut? I can't think that fast when people ask me church stuff while I'm talking, so I can't help you with that right now. Let's see. What advice will you give if you feel like your boss will not let you advance in the department? It's not your boss not letting you advance. It's you not letting you advance. And what I mean by that is you keep staying there and you know that there is no opportunity for advancement. If he's not letting you advance, then find another department where they are advancing people. Find another job where you find that they are advancing people. Your boss will do whatever he wants to do. It's your job to shift your life. It's your job to shift your destiny. You don't have to stay in the same place like there's no other place. That's what we call a poverty mindset, because we think there's nowhere else to go, right? We're stuck here. If he does not let me advance, I will not be able to go. But begin to say, God, open up my mind, open up the creativity so that I can figure out where else I can go. I requested access, but I'm not yet in. Yes, if you requested access to our Facebook group, our private paid members one, it may take 24 hours. You know why? Because my team has to check your name with your registration, because people find out about DTA and they just think they can join the group. So they are there verifying every single person. So give them at least 24 hours to give you access into the group. All right. I missed some of the Q&A. Will there be an opportunity for one-on-ones with you? No, there isn't. This is a group mentorship program. If you choose, you could choose to pay $250 an hour to, get in a business consultation with me. It's probably, I think it's $350 this year, or, like that. But the reason why I started this mentoring program is because I don't have the bandwidth for one-on-ones. We planted a church, and our focus on discipling one-on-one is for our church members, but I still wanted to develop and pour into people and mentor them. Now, the one-on-ones comes when you bring your questions on Wednesdays and you ask me and I can answer them. I get to know your story. I get to know your life. We get to all know each other as members and as students. So it comes that way. All right. Is the School of the Prophets a mentor program as well? No, it's 5 days. We're training. Well, it's only 3 days. That's 3 days. But the fivefold school is 5 days. It is a school. We are training you to prepare you to discern whether you're called into ministry or not. If you're already in ministry, what ministry you're called into, and then that's it. That we finish, we send you off. We don't ordain you. We don't do nothing because that's your pastor's job. We give you a certificate of completion after that. That's it. All right. Let's see. In front of your question, yeah. So please, what do you do when you're in church that ignores the older saints and favors the younger ones? Talk to your leaders and ask them why is that that way. And if the answer is not satisfactory, ask the Lord if you're supposed to be there. Advice for you when your husband is be on board to leave job for me to start business. I mean, it would be helpful unless you do what you need to do and say, well, babe, we have saved up this much. Show him the numbers, because generally that's the issue. Crunch the numbers. And I need you to give me 3 months and I'm going to float. I'm going to swim. I'm not going to sink. Right. But don't just be like, I want to leave and you don't have a plan. Men like plans. They like strategy. They like vision. So go that way. And he may also be one that's not big on faith or making leaps. But if he's your husband, that means you trust that God speaks to him and that he has the best intentions for your family. And so you may need to wait it out until you get to a better place. Should we use that advice for pastors that don't let you advance? Don't let you advance is the same thing, right? But pastors know your spiritual well-being, right? So sometimes they say no because they know you're not capable of where you're trying to go. But sometimes they don't see what you carry. They don't see your gift. You need to have a conversation with them. You need to see what training is available, why there is no advancement, and then see why, what you need to do next. All right. Yes, men, the DTA will help you to be a better person and husband. Can marrying the wrong person affect your destiny? Yeah, that is, I always write this all the time, but there's no such thing as a wrong person. The wrong person becomes the right person when you say, I do. Right. And so I understand what you're saying, but people will say, well, I married the wrong person. No, you knew who you were marrying when you married them. And now that you're married, you need to begin to say, God, begin to relieve your plans, your hearts in us, begin to heal, begin to restore. Now, if there's abuse, if there is incessant adultery, there's grounds for divorce there. But other than that, that's the right person. And y'all got to work it out. And you got to figure out how you align together so that you can fulfill the call of God on your life. But for the singles, you have a way of learning how to make the right decision. And we actually train our singles in DTA on how to identify the one and how to make sure you don't marry a counterfeit and all of that. And we work with the married couples on how to kind of heal and progress in your marriage. But it does derail your destiny when you're married with someone you're not equally yoked with. How do we sign up for the coaching program and certifications? It's over. We just certified everybody. It only happens once a year. It opens registration in February. It's not something I do all the time. I know a lot about God and his word, but find it hard to yeah. So you needed to have watched the summit because we talked about intimacy and removing shame and breaking the orphan spirit, breaking all that and rejection, because that's what makes it hard to be intimate and vulnerable to the Lord. And so I would encourage you to sign up for DTA if you haven't, because we walk you through that the first month. How does one get to the coaching course? Is one certified, and how long is the certification valid? First of all, guys, I'm not going to talk about this because we're not even enrolling in it. It's not even open. I don't open enrollment until February. It's a 6-week course. You get certified, and you're certified as long as you're ethically up working as a coach. All right. When wife is called and their husband is very judgmental and are not spiritually grounded in the Lord, should they keep their husbands involved in what the wife's doing for the Lord? Probably not, but the wife just needs to be a good wife, right? She needs to be present. She needs to remember why she married him. She needs to focus on what they have in common. And then if hopefully he's okay with her just doing ministry, she doesn't necessarily need to talk about it until he's ready. Can you get remarried after divorce biblically? So this is one of those questions that you're going to have to talk to who married you, right? But I know this one thing. There are people who were married and their person divorced them because they were abusive or whatever, and they got remarried, and now God is using them to expand the kingdom of God. They are very fruitful, and God's hand is very evident on their life. So let that be how you answer that question. When is the coach? Okay, we're not going to talk about that anymore. All right. My pastor doesn't believe in the gifts. Okay. Bless you guys. Ay, ay, ay. Bless you. Love you. I just want to say this summit was awesome. You welcome. Bless you. Bless you. Bless you. I look forward to chatting with you soon. All those that have registered and enrolled in DTA, I'm going to go live in the group, in the private group tomorrow, in the mentor, in our DTA group, and ask, take your questions. I know you just jumped in there. You're trying to figure your way out. I will go live in there tomorrow. We're going to let you know what time, and we will take your questions. How do you go from head knowledge to heart knowledge? You go through what we taught this whole week. You join TTA. You got to break the orphan mindset. And it's not something that can happen by me answering one question. You got to get in the right community. You got to heal your God image. You got to understand where you have faulty thinking about God and about others and about yourself. And that's stuff that we take all of you guys through in DTA. It takes time, but you can get there. God can also counter you in worship where he softens your heart to be able to receive, but it takes time. All right. It was awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to all of you who sewed and blessed the summit. It helped us pay our speakers and just be able to, say, give them a thank you. So do you do counseling for marriage? Only for my church members. Once again, I don't do any one-on-one anything for non-church members, just because I am called to the body, which is why we provide the mentoring, the training, and all of that. But I am also called to pastor in this season. And so our focus is developing our spiritual children that are in our house. Do we learn to go deeper in the prophetic in DTA? We start the prophetic, you learn about the gifts, you learn about how to operate in them, but the School of the Prophets is where you go deeper. You can sign up tomorrow all the way up until Monday. Do you feel that new people will be approved in the group by the time you go live tomorrow? Yeah. We wouldn't, but there are going to be new people joining all the way up until Monday. So if you are not approved or you are not in the group yet, you just watch the replay of the teaching. But I'll also go live on Monday again to make sure that you guys are set. Can you just divorce and remarry just because you see another one? No, you cannot. That's demonic. That's devilish. It's called lust. Let's see. What did you mean by talk to who married you before divorce? My husband committed adultery and we were divorced. Okay. Well, then you're good to go, right? He cheated on you. And that's the only biblical basis that you are free to be able to do whatever you'd like to do. How soon can we join the leadership training? I'm not sure what the leadership training is that you're talking about. It is a class that is in DTA that you start after a year. Let's see, we can save the live. I feel like God gave me a new spouse a year later. All right, awesome. Are your videos good forever or do they erase? This one will keep up. The other ones are gone. All right. Bless you guys. Have a great afternoon. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.